The Red Cross is reporting that Boko Haram bombed a market in northeastern Nigeria yesterday, and they killed 32 people and wounded about 80. So Reuters reports on this. The explosion occurred at a fruit and vegetable market beside a main road. There was no immediate claim of responsibility, but the blast bore the hallmarks of jihadist group Boko Haram, which has killed thousands over the last 6 years in its bid to create a state adhering to strict Sharia law. Boko Haram militants have carried out attacks in neighboring Chad, Niger, and Cameroon in recent weeks. Now, I want to give you some insight into this jihadist ideology. Now, obviously, there are differences between groups. Al-Shabaab is a little bit different from Boko Haram, is a little bit different from ISIS, is a little bit different from Al-Qaeda. You go down the list here, and the groups have minor differences here and there, but by and large, we're talking about people who are literalists, and they're fundamentalists, and they're jihadists, and they believe in a strict interpretation of Islam. So PBS Frontline got a reporter into ISIS territory in Afghanistan, and they got this amazing footage. Let's take a look.
But in 2014, after ISIS declared an Islamic State or caliphate in Iraq and Syria, he defected.
Yes, we were fighting Holy War as Taliban. Our Holy War was just because there was no caliphate then. But God says when there is a caliphate, you must join the caliphate. There is a caliphate now, so we've left the Taliban. We're fighting Holy War under Caliph's leadership. We want the Islamic system all over the world, and we will fight for it.
تاسو ته پته ده چې دا د دولت اسلامي مدرسه ده او مکتب دی دې کې دا څه لفظ دی جهاد جهاد څه ته وایي جهاد چې د الله تعالی دین او د الله کلمه چې دی نو په ټولو خلکو باندې دپاره شي ځکه الله فرمایي چې تاسو د دې خلکو سره جهاد وکئ د هغه پورې حتی لا تکونه فتنه چې تر دې پورې چې شرک او کفر او فتنه چې دا په جهان کې پاتې نشي ومرأتین یا یو زنانه دپاره.
The teacher, Abdullah, spends a few minutes explaining the theory of jihad or holy war. Then he moves on to its practice.
کلاشنکوف بل ساده پښتو کې موږ ته څه نوم وایو ماشین دا د څه شي لپاره موږ راغستی دی د الله دین لپاره د حفاظت دپاره او د کومو خلکو سرونه په دې باندې موږ تاسو ولو کافر.
Watching that is like watching the Hitler Youth all over again, because it's just mass brainwashing from when they're young. They say that the students are as young as 3 years old, and they train them from when they're 3 all the time, year in, year out, and they drill this into their head repeatedly to the point where when they're about 13 years old, their whole life is this, where to them it's no question, it's not an issue, there's not even any hesitation. Later on in this fantastic special, again, that PBS Frontline did, it's available online if you want to see the whole thing, it's about 30 minutes or so. Later on, they talk to a 13-year-old who's like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a suicide bomber. And they're like, well, what made you want to do it? He's like, well, I've been taught since I was young, and I look up to the jihadist fighters, and they make the 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds gather around every time ISIS releases a new video where they're doing a mass killing. And they're like, all right, guys, let's take a look. Oh, isn't that great? They beheaded an infidel there. Oh, look, they killed a Shia Muslim there. They killed a heretic. They did. And they're all watching it, and they're giggling, and they're having a good time. And the goal of the people who are teaching this is exactly that, to make it so that it's reflexive, where there is no existential question, there is no philosophical debate. This isn't people who have the same concerns as other people who are moderates, who, just want a good job and just want to have some leisure time and just want to care for their family and have opportunity and have hope. They're purposefully making it so that there's not a single solitary doubt where they say, no, they are the bad guys. I know that as a matter of fact, and that's why it is right, it is just, it is moral for me to engage in this. When you're telling a 3-year-old from when they're that young for their entire life, oh yeah, you want to kill the infidels, you want to kill the adulterers, you want to kill the apostates, you aim for their head, no question about it. And all you know is that, and all, you know people around you who you assume are good people, they feed you, they clothe you. What are you going to do? How are you going to act? Nobody can escape that. If I was born in that context, and would I be thinking that? How the fuck could I not? I don't have a fucking science textbook I could go pick up and read. I don't have a history lesson I could take that's more objective. If when you're in fucking the mountains in Afghanistan, I think it's eastern Afghanistan like they are, or you don't have fucking internet access, what are you going to do? So how can you break free from that? And this is a very dangerous thing to see here. And they go on to say that since Mullah Omar died, believe it or not, this is going to blow your fucking mind. It may have even been a mistake on the part of Western governments to go after Mullah Omar. You're like, what the fuck? That's crazy. Why? How could it be a mistake to go after the head of the Taliban? Well, because the Taliban, while they do believe in Sharia law and they are fundamentalist Muslims, they only had nationalistic goals and regional goals. Whereas ISIS, just like Al-Qaeda, they're like, no, we want a global caliphate, world caliphate. So, we want to come to Nebraska. Whether or not they can do that is a separate question. The answer right now is obviously not. They don't have the power to do it. But that's their ambition. Whereas the Taliban was just like, okay, give us a region in Pakistan and Afghanistan and leave us the fuck alone. Still evil people, still horrible, still, subjugate women and gays and kill infidels, all that stuff. But it was contained. It was, by design, it was contained. So when Mullah Omar died, now fighters in the Taliban are defecting to ISIS. And they're like, oh, great, no, global caliphate, that's the way to go. You heard what the guy said at the beginning. This is a fighter who was in the Taliban, now he's in ISIS. He said, holy war. We want the Islamic system all over the world. We will fight for it. And my main response to this, now obviously it goes without saying a majority of Muslims in the world do not agree with this by any stretch of the imagination. They're fucking horrified by this. But in terms of the ideology that we're talking about here, if you're an Islamist who believes in political Islam, but you don't want to bring it about by violent means, or if you're a jihadist who believes in political Islam and you bring it about by any means necessary, including violence, if that's the case, let me be clear, you are unbelievably wrong and stupid. Guys, it's not true. What you believe is not true. So like I just described to you, these guys, they've been brainwashed from day one, so they don't see any other possibilities because they think, well, I like these people, they were nice to me, they taught me this, it must be true. But there's a flaw in your logic there. Just because they raised you and they were nice to you and they taught you the religion doesn't mean the religion is true. Okay, so I've spoken about this before. I have a friend who is a former Islamist. He's not anymore, but he was deep in the life and he knew, read all the time. He'd read the Quran and the Hadith, and this was his life. And he's taught these things, and his entire transition he would have to explain to you in terms of how doubt crept in, and then he did further research, and then he realized it was not true. But when you look at everything at face value, it should be obvious that it's not true. And anybody who's on the fences or is part of this ideology who's willing to listen to reason, look at some of the things in your fucking texts. Did you know that according to Muhammad, apes are descendants of Jews? All right, on that alone, you should be like, I'm not so sure about that. Like, could you imagine, like, what, did he have a lab? Muhammad was doing science experiments where he's checking the DNA. He's like, I got it. When you look at that double helix and you mix it with this, it turns out that we know that apes are the descendants of Jews. No, we know that that's not true. We know that that's not true. How about pigs are descendants of Christians? Now, some of this is in the Hadith, some of this is in the Quran, but pigs are descendants of Christians. I didn't know that. I was born into a Christian family. So I guess give me enough time, if I have kids or whatever down the road, eventually, pigs. You'll be able to eat my great-great-great-grandson as bacon. That's what would happen. And how about that one, on bacon alone? As far as we know, you're only alive once. And you're going to say, I swear off bacon, I'm never going to eat bacon. Bacon is motherfucking delicious, son. It is delicious. I'm fine judging you and saying you made a poor decision if you've never tried bacon and you're not going to ever try bacon. That's a mistake. It tastes great. If you're only alive once and you only have one chance, which is likely the case, to eat it, why would you not engage in that form of mouth pleasure? Why would you not do that? That doesn't make sense. All right, more. They say elephants, Muhammad says elephants are the descendants of gays. I don't even get it. It's so obviously made up as he goes along here. See, this is what you believe. If you're a jihadist, and you have to take it literally, this is what you believe. Do you realize how fucking embarrassing that is? And the funny thing is they act like, oh yeah, I'm a macho man. You're not a macho man. You're like a toddler. You believe infantile fairy tales. And you're going around shooting people. Oh, how brave you are. Shooting people in the face because you believe that elephants are descendants of gays, and spiders, I love this one, are descendants of adulterers. How do you even respond to this? How do you take this seriously? The only way you take it seriously is if you're brainwashed into it from when you're a kid, as we just saw there. And look, you can't blame the kids. What are they going to do? But the best thing we could do to try to help them out, if they in any way, shape, or form can listen to us, and I know many of them won't ever be able to, they won't have the opportunity to, but if you're in that life, you're wrong. I respect you enough to tell you to your face, you're wrong. I'm not going to give you this line about, yeah, bro, everybody's supposed to respect everybody's beliefs no matter what, and don't judge anybody. No, I'm judging you. I'm 100% judging you because what you believe is not true. If somebody came to you and said 2 + 2 = 22, and that's just my opinion, you'd say, you're a fucking jackass. That's not true. It doesn't make any sense. The answer is 2 + 2 = 4. I'm educating you. I'm helping you out when I say that. Why should it be any different for religious beliefs? You're allowed to call yourself whatever the fuck you want. I'm not going to come and kill you if you know, you say, hey, I'm a Muslim, I'm moderate, I believe whatever, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I just really call myself, I'm born into that, but, you know, it's my identity, but am I really going to believe all the specifics? No. That's totally fine. But if you're somebody who says, you know, I am a Christian, and I believe the Bible's literally true, so slavery, maybe. Earth being flat, maybe. I'm going to say, no, you're a fucking idiot, and that means you are wrong. I have no problem calling that stupid because it is stupid. I am judging you, and I'm going to continue to judge you because you are wrong and we are right. That's why we're having this conversation. And it's not a bigoted statement for me to bring this up. It is an accurate statement for me to bring this up. That's all I care about. I care about truth. I care about accuracy. Again, I'm not saying all Muslims are guilty of believing this. Of course they don't believe it. But for the people who do believe it, just know the ideology is not true. It's full of bullshit. Let me give you more. Muhammad flies to heaven on a winged horse. Because, yeah, believing that is not totally stupid. There are bright yellow cows in the Quran. Not just yellow cows, bright yellow cows. That seems so realistic, doesn't it? People live to over the age of 900, which is the same as the Bible. And let's be clear here, guys. Am I treating the Quran any harsher than I treat the Bible? Have you seen the segments I've done on the Bible? I've done segments, whatever it is, the 10 or 20 most ridiculous Bible verses you've never heard of, where I go into all the details of it, and it's incredibly barbaric and incredibly stupid, and I'm treating this the same because it is the same. It's drool on yourself, blithering stupidity. Also, under Islam, atheists are deaf, dumb, and blind. Alright, well, if that's the perfect word of God, why is it that I, who I am an atheist, why am I not deaf? Some of these guys might argue I'm dumb. Ironic, but put that aside. Why am I not blind? Because I know they probably think I'm dumb. But you can see I'm not blind and I'm not deaf. I'm not. I'm not that. So your perfect word of God, it's been proven that that is not the perfect word of God because I am not blind and I'm not deaf. So when they say atheists are deaf, dumb, and blind, that is not true. There's no debating that. It is obvious it is not true. So how can you believe the whole thing? If you believe it, you're fucking dense. You're dense. It's not true. It's not correct. And guys, the thing is, because they've been brainwashed, they think that that what they do is the most moral thing. They think that killing infidels is the most moral thing. Killing apostates is the most moral thing. You saw them teaching in the class. I'm not saying it. They just said it to you. Okay, the guy who said, yeah, I joined ISIS because it's the right thing to do, holy war all over the world. They think that is the most moral thing. That only makes sense if you fully adopt and believe the ideology. But that's the problem is your premise is wrong because your ideology is not correct. So you think you're acting in the most moral way, but actually you're acting in the most immoral way. And what gives me the grounds to say it's immoral? It's very simple, because you're actually causing human harm, physical pain on this earth, suffering, discomfort, tearing apart families, making people miserable, depressed as a result of your actions. That is a much better gauge of what is moral and what is immoral. If you want to be a moral person, doesn't it make sense to rational people? I want to put a smile on people's faces. I want to not hurt them. I don't want to bring pain upon them and their families. That would be wrong of me to do it. That's what our innate sense of right and wrong tells us, but they've been brainwashed to disregard that innate sense because they've been told God's higher good is to do damage, to inflict damage, to kill the infidels and the apostates, to treat women like lesser people, which leads me to my next point. Again, directly from my friend, former Islamist. He lays out for me. Our conversations are great, very fruitful. In the Hadith, volume 3, book 48, number 826, the Prophet said, isn't the witness of a woman equal to half of that of a man? Yes. The answer is yes. This is because of the deficiency of a woman's mind. That's a quote. This is because of a deficiency of a woman's mind. How can any woman read that and go, sign me up? I'm deficient in the head. But you're not. You're not. That's not true. I don't think that's true. I think you're nowhere near deficient. Are there some women who are not that intelligent? Yes. Are there some men that are not that intelligent? Yes. But can you just say, broadly speaking, a woman's mind is deficient? No, a stupid person says that. A stupid person says that. How are you going to sign up for a religion where somebody says that? Why would you sign on to that? And also, women are supposed to get half the inheritance of men. Guys, it's pure fairy tale mythology, and there are people who are warriors on behalf of it. You know, it's horrible and it's barbaric, but it's also just sad. It's honestly like if we woke up one day and you had a group of thousands of people who said, I'm going to wage war on behalf of Narnia and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, because I think it's true, and if people don't believe it, they need to fucking believe it, because I've been raised to believe this, so I will push it on everybody else. You go, oh my God, that's a fucking stupid person. Oh my God, that's so sad. Get him some Thorazine and some Seroquel and put him in a padded room. What's happening here? This is ridiculous. It's like if somebody woke up and said, I believe in the Tooth Fairy, and I'm going to kill you if you don't. Which, again, brings me back to my main point here. If you think you're so macho and you're such a tough guy, look at your beliefs. Your beliefs alone make you a laughingstock to rational people. Now, you're dangerous, because we've seen what you do, but objectively speaking, if there are aliens who are watching this, or if there really is a God, ironically, who's watching this, he's gonna go, oh my God, that's what you're doing? Oh my God, you believe in voodoo and you're killing people over it. That's the last thing I'd want you to do. If you're put on this earth, if God created you and put you on this earth, well, why did he give you, a penis if you're a man, a vagina if you're a woman? Why wouldn't he want you to use them? A lot of these religions are fundamentally anti-nature. They say, don't have sex! Don't have sex until marriage, or else I will fucking kill you. Why did he give you a penis and vagina then? We can go on and on here. If you're not supposed to eat certain foods, well then why the fuck do some foods taste fucking fantastic, including the ones that are banned? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't add up to me. Why would God have all these strict rules that make no sense if he gave us all these faculties in order to enjoy certain things? Bottom line is, these ideologies are not true. They're embarrassingly false. And when people believe in it and then act upon it, they become a caricature and the worst people in the world. Because, again, you're suppressing this innate sense of right and wrong, and you're elevating this totally made-up sense of right and wrong, which leads you to do the worst things imaginable. Oftentimes, the people who are most convinced that they're right are the most wrong.